Welcome to Module 1 of the Grassland Observer training. We're glad you're interested in becoming a grassland observer in Western Australia. It's an important contribution to keeping our community safe. This training builds on what you already know about grassland to prepare you for your role. This is just the beginning. As you observe and watch your grassland change over the season, your knowledge and confidence will grow. In this module, we will explore the grass curing life cycle, the effects of grass curing on fire behavior, and variations you may find in the field, including different species, thatch, and green-up. A network of grassland curing observers is required to collect data to assist the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, or DFES, map the level of grassland curing across Western Australia. This data, combined with satellite imagery, helps DFES to produce grassland curing maps that are used by emergency and land management services to plan and manage bushfire preparation and response. DFES relies on grassland observers to help collect this data. If you live near or regularly travel through grassland areas, agricultural crops, or areas with large paddocks, you can volunteer as an observer. If you live on the outer suburbs that are surrounded by open fields and plains, you can also make an important contribution. This training has been developed to assist you to make accurate grassland curing assessments. Natural, crop and pasture grasses have an annual cycle where they germinate, grow, produce flowers and seeds, then either die or become dormant. The degree of curing represents the moisture content and proportion of dead material in the grassland fuel. Dry and dead material can produce a very flammable environment, and the degree of curing could have a significant effect on the fire danger of a district. It's important that fire management and control agencies have access to timely and accurate curing assessments so they can better understand the fire danger. This graph shows the three basic stages of grassland curing in the field. From 0 to 30%, cured grass is basically green, and we call this the green phase. From 40 to 60% cured, the grass is mostly yellow, and we call this the yellow phase. And from 70 to 100% cured, the grass is yellow and very dry. We call this the dry phase. At the extremes, it's easy to understand the impact of grassland curing on fire behavior. The lowest percentage of curing, the green phase, tends to be safe and is unlikely to burn. At the higher end, the dry phase, it is likely to burn rapidly and intensely. The middle levels of curing, the yellow phase, is more significant. If we know the specific level of curing within this range, we can better predict fire behavior. This helps emergency services set the correct fire danger rating, send the correct safety messages to your community, and allocate the most appropriate resources to prevent and manage grassland fires. Let's look at the green phase. This is when the grass is between 0 and 30% cured. Here is an example of grass that is 0%. As you can see, the grass is all green and there are no seed heads at all. This grass is at 30%. There is some yellow showing and well-developed seed heads which are starting to drop seed. How do we pick grass at 10 and 20% cured? Here is grass at 10%. As you can see, the grass is basically green and the seed heads are developed. 20% cured is where the seed heads are maturing and opening. Usually at 20%, there is very little yellow in the grass. Here are some photos of grassland at 0, 10, 20, and 30% cured. Now let's look at the yellow phase. This is when the curing is between 40 and 60%. Here is an example of 40% cured, where the yellowing is well underway. This is an example of grass at 60% cured. As you can see, half the stems have lost some of their seed. Grass at 50% cured is about half yellow and half green, and is continuing to drop seed. Here are some images of fields of grass at 40, 50, and 60% cured. Let's now look at the dry phase. This is when the grass is between 70 and 100% cured. When curing reaches this stage, the drying out of the grass increases rapidly and is almost completely cured within weeks. This grass is at 70% cured. It's nearly all yellow and has dropped almost all of its seed. This is grass at 100% cured. As you can see, it is very dry and breaks very easily. Now let's look at how we determine grass at 80 and 90% cured. Grass at 80% has finished shedding all its seed. There may be some green present in patches in the field or on the bottom third of the stalks. Grass at 90% has finished dropping seed and is usually completely dry and has the odd individual green stalk. It is not fragile like grass at 100%. Here are some photos of grassland at 70, 80, 90, and 100% cured. Knowledge of the grass life cycle and the curing process is important when estimating fire danger in your region. In the southern parts of Western Australia, serious grass fires are prone to occur after a good spring rain season, where pastures dry quickly and are fully cured by early summer. In the northern parts of WA, grass fires are prone to occur after the wet season, where pastures are fully cured by early winter. If this is your first time learning about grassland curing, you may feel a little overwhelmed. Don't worry, that's normal, and we're here to help. Let's check your learning so far. As a grassland observer, you will be measuring the rate of curing in your location. The best way to start is to work out what curing phase you are observing. So, let's give it a go. Based on the photo of the grass, do you believe the grassland is currently in the green, yellow, or dry phase? In this case, it is clearly still in the green phase, as the grass is flowering and seed heads are clearly visible. Let's try another one. What phase do you believe this grassland is in? This grassland is green with some yellowing, with most seed heads mature and seed dropping. This means the grass is in the green phase and 30% cured. Choose the phase you believe this grassland is in. This grassland is clearly in the dry phase. You can see that the seed heads have all dropped, and there is very little visible green. This means the grass is in the dry phase and 90% cured. What phase do you think this grassland is in? The grassland shows half yellow and half green, and up to half of the stems have dropped their seed. This means the grass is in the yellow phase and 50% cured. The science tells us that the curing rates between 40 and 60% have a greater influence on how fast a fire will spread compared to the green phase. You now know that moisture content is an important consideration for your observations. You also need to understand how other grassland features can affect fire behavior. This includes grassland condition and continuity. The taller the grass, the more fuel there is for the fire. It also affects the height of the flames when fire takes hold, which is important when we are trying to contain a fire. Grassland condition is an important factor to consider when determining the rate of spread. There are 3 different grassland conditions that affect how fire will behave. undisturbed or very lightly grazed natural grassland, improved pasture, or unharvested crops are generally over 50 centimeters in height and have the highest rate of spread. Grazed or harvested crops are between 10 centimeters to 50 centimeters in height. Fires in these pastures will spread around 20% slower than those in undisturbed or very lightly grazed pastures. Eaten out and very heavily grazed pasture, or harvested and baled crops, are generally less than 10 centimeters tall, may have patches of bare ground, and have the lowest rate of spread. A fire may burn through a range of grassland conditions, which affects the rate of spread. This is why your grassland condition observation is so important. The way grass sits in the landscape affects how fire will behave. Where dry grass forms a continuous layer, a fire will spread more easily. However, where clumps of dry grass are patchy and discontinuous, the fire may struggle to spread or may spread very slowly. Discontinuous is defined by bare areas of 50 centimeters squared, repeated across the landscape. The AFDRS uses your selections for fuel condition and continuity and provides a total fuel load using a calculation in the back end. There may be scenarios where the automatic AFDRS fuel load calculation is not representative of the fuel load over the landscape. If this is the case, it can be changed, but ensure your observation photo reflects this. Notes with further information can also be provided for the validator and authorizer. There are other variations that will affect the rate of spread of grassland fires. Thatch is dead grass from previous seasons that can often form around the base of plants and is very dry. It's good fuel for grass fires, as it adds to the continuity of fuel and will carry fire easily. Thatch contributes to the overall dead material in the grassland and should be considered in your overall grassland curing observation to increase the overall ratio of live to dead grass. Green up is the presence of new green growth that will increase the overall fuel moisture. However, the effect this has on fire behavior will vary depending on the ratio of green up to dead grass. If dead grass is continuous and makes up the bulk of the fuel load, the effect of this new growth is negligible. If the old grass is largely eaten out or grazed and the regrowth makes up a large portion, then the average curing value based on the percentage of live to dead grass should be used. The stages in the life cycle are common across all Australian grass species, from germinating to growth, to flowers and seed heads, and then dormancy. But the speed and timing of this life cycle may differ slightly between species. The colour you see may also be different. Kangaroo grass becomes reddish brown as it loses moisture. Ryegrass first becomes reddish purple as it dries, before turning yellow at the end of its life cycle. The timing will also differ from year to year because of variation in seasonal rainfall and temperatures. As you begin your observations, you will see differences between species. Over the next few seasons, you will also start to see how the life cycle is affected by weather conditions. This is the end of Module 1 Grassland Curing. You have now learnt about the grassland curing life cycle, the effects of grass height, condition and continuity on fire behavior, and variations you may find in the field, including different species, thatch and green up.
Welcome back to Module 2, Being a Grassland Observer. In the first module, you would have learnt about grassland curing and its effects on fire behaviour. In this module, you will learn how to select a grassland observation site and how to conduct good grassland observations. Observation sites should be representative of the surrounding landscape. When selecting a site to conduct grassland observations, choose an area that is similar in curing value to other paddocks or land in the direct vicinity and therefore representative of the landscape. Ensure the site has minimum tree cover and is accessible throughout the season. Avoid depressions, watercourses or hills, as curing occurs at different rates in these areas. This is unless your area is typical of that topography and difficult to avoid. Grass is the most common fire fuel type in Australia. Nearly 75% of the country is grassland of one type or another, with half of that area used for sheep or cattle grazing. Grassland sites may include northern grasslands such as gamba grass, mission grass, annual sorghums and spear grass, including savanna. Tussock grasslands, which are perennial grasses that grow in a sword, for example kangaroo grasses, and includes open woodlands. Croplands such as wheat, barley, oats, canola, sorghum and pastures. Please note that Spinifex grassland observations are currently not within the scope of grassland observations and therefore not required. Grassland observers form a network of personnel who undertake observations of grassland in their area. The timing and length of observations is dependent on your location. During the designated reporting period, you will make and submit weekly observations that typically take about 10 minutes to complete. As a grassland observer, it is best practice to submit your observation report in time for the validation to occur by close of business Tuesday. The data you submit is collated with data from other grassland observers and satellite-derived grassland curing. Data is validated on Tuesdays in preparation for DFES regional risk assessments on Thursday mornings. Late inputs after Tuesday will be integrated the following week. Curing observations may begin when grasslands reach 50% curing. Weekly ground curing observations can cease when the curing percentage has reached 100% or when the fuel load is reduced, such as being harvested. The observation process is quick and easy. You observe the same spot at a similar time each week so you can track the changes over the season. It's best that you do the observation while standing in the field rather than on the edge of a paddock. Where possible, observations should be undertaken during the middle of the day between 9 AM and 4 PM during the curing phase, and on clear or mostly clear days if possible, as heavy cloud may impact the outcome of your observation, making the grass look greener. It is recommended not to wear polarized sunglasses during the observation process, as this can affect the color of the grass. Observation is not only about what you see, but where possible, also involves touching the grass and closely examining the whole stalk from top to bottom, as the top may be bleached but the bottom is still green. You then record your observations directly into the fuel state editor if internet or mobile data is available. The Fuel State Editor is a software portal for fire and land management agencies to enter and authorize fuel data on vegetation types, fire history, and grass condition for fire behavior calculations. For areas outside of mobile service, observers can use the Grassland Fuel State Field Record Sheet. They will still take a photo on their phone for adding into the Fuel State Editor when service allows. The data you collect includes the curing percentage, condition, and continuity. The Fuel State Editor only allows for the upload of a single observation photo. Therefore, photos should capture a picture that will support your curing observation input. This means that if the curing input is 60%, the photo should not be of grassland that is 80% cured. Seed heads and stalks, 75% of the grass in the photo and no more than 25% sky, less if possible. Photos should not be zoomed into a patch not representative of the whole site, such as with edge effects. It is also recommended that observers use a date and time phone app to capture information relevant to the observation time and site. Example apps include the free versions of Context Camera, iPhone, or Survey Cam, Android. This is the end of Module 2, Being a Grassland Observer. You now know what to look for when selecting an observation site in your location and how to take a good grassland observation. The final training module will show you the fuel state editor and how to enter grassland observation data.
This is the final module of the Grassland Observation training. Once you complete this training, you can register as a Grassland Observer. Adding an observation to the fuel state editor is simple and doesn't take long. The process includes logging into the fuel state editor, selecting your observation point, entering your observation data including curing value, condition value, continuity, and fuel load value, uploading a photo of your observation point, selecting your confidence level, adding any relevant notes, and then submitting your report for validation. To start, sign into the fuel state editor, either on a computer or mobile device. You will receive login details once you finish this training and complete the Grassland Observer registration form. To add a grassland observation, select New Observation from the homepage. A list of observation locations will appear that have been assigned to you. Select the relevant observation location. If the status shows Edit Current Observation, this means that an observation has been entered but not yet validated. You can still make changes to this status. Add a new observation means there is not a current observation for your chosen location. The first data field is the grassland curing percentage. Here you can see what the previous value was and when it was completed. Scroll through the options to select the relevant curing percentage for your observation. And then select Next. Now you need to enter the fuel condition. The options are eaten out, grazed, or natural. Select the relevant condition and then select Next. Choose between continuous or discontinuous and then select Next. For your fuel load, the system will use your selections for fuel condition and continuity and provide a total fuel load using a calculation in the back end. It's recommended that you keep this automatic fuel load. However, if you understand the fuel load calculations and do not think this number is accurate, it can be changed. Select Next to upload your observation photo. Here you can add a photo of your location. This will help validators review observations. Simply select Add a photo, choose the relevant photo from your device and add it. If you want to change the photo, select Use another photo. It should be noted that you can only add one photo for each observation. Photo upload may be affected in areas with poor signal. It is recommended to upload your photo once you have reached an area with a better communication signal. Once your photo is loaded, select Next. This will take you to the summary page where you can review what you have entered. If you see an error, you can select Edit, make the change, and then select Next until you get back to the summary page. You can continue reviewing, see the photo, and then select your confidence level. You can choose between being confident or not confident. Choosing not confident will alert a validator to review this observation carefully, and if you are choosing this often, additional training may occur. Finally, enter any relevant notes you might have. Select Submit Observation and confirm Yes to save. You will then be returned to the location list page. Thank you for wanting to become a Grassland Observer. We appreciate the time you will be taking to provide information that will help keep your community safe. The next step is to register your interest to become a Grassland Observer. You can do this by completing the registration form. For more information on the AFDRS, refer to the AFAC website. For further assistance, please email afdrs@dfes.wa.gov.au.